Welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of video editing for beginners using Premiere Pro. In the first video, we talked about the interface of the editing software and how to navigate it properly. In this video, we're going to basically learn how we start bringing in our assets and media to actually begin editing a video. Bringing it into the timeline, cutting and trimming, and all of that good stuff. So here I'm just going to go into the project that we created last time. This is just asking me that if the audio hardware settings that I've had from last time, they've kind of changed a little bit, whether I took out a mic or something or headphones, I've changed it. If it's okay that they're no longer available, which in this case it is because I'm not really listening to anything. We're just working with the video track at this point. So I'm going to do yes. And you can always, as it shows here, you can edit it. So this is the microphone that's not working right now and speakers that I just don't have plugged in. That's all it is. So I'm just going to do, okay, that's fine. Once I plug it in, it should all work and be fine. So now, this is the layout we've been working with from before. As you can see, it's very versatile and flexible that I could just drag and move around and everything. I like the project here. And if you remember, we created my own kind of template or workspace, which takes me to the layout that I prefer. So now, the first thing you want to do when we're beginning to actually edit something is you need to bring in your assets. That's your footage, audio, graphics if you have any graphics, anything like that. In this case, we just have simple footage and audio. Because now we're familiar with this, I decided to just find some free public domain stock footage that we can work with, just a few clips for educational purposes to show you guys, all of it being some sequence of making coffee, because universally people understand the process of making coffee. So what I'm gonna do is there's a few ways of doing this for importing. You can go to File, Import. It'll open your window here to see what files you want to import. You could also do right-click here and do import as well. Or you can do Control-I. For Windows, we'll open the folders and windows to bring in stuff. So for like Windows PC, you do Control-I. Obviously, for a Mac, you would just do Command-I. But the way I like it is I just like bringing my window folder up. Here is the folder that I have the footage in, my assets. I'm going to drag and drop it right here. Just takes a few seconds because it's not even that big. Creates its own folder here. There's this audio. This audio actually has its own folder, but because the audio folder has only one file in there, it doesn't create a bin for it, which is what these folders are initially called here, bin. You can do a new bin, anything like that. And here's your footage, or my footage. And we're going to play around with them. So now what you guys do is you can just, select all of them by holding your left mouse button and dragging. Or you could just, one at a time, whatever you'd like. You can also, you can see here I'm scrubbing through each footage. It's kind of like a source. I'm seeing what it has, what it shows, what the video is before I even bring it into the timeline. If I double click on it, it'll open it up. And it becomes into this source window. That way I can drag this mini timeline here and see exactly what this video is. Yeah. This here, all that is, and you'll see it here in this program as well, this is the quality of your video as you're viewing it. This is mainly for basically what your computer can handle. If your computer can't handle that much, you'd want it to be at a low setting, low quality resolution as you're viewing, obviously not exporting. I do it full because these are simple, and right now it's not really needing to change much. Just go back here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag them, select all, and just drag into the timeline. Now here in the timeline, you see a few tracks. This is what we call it here. They're called tracks. You have video tracks, which are V, and you have audio tracks, which start with A, and then, they just increase by the number of tracks. You can always right-click and add a track. For that, right-click and add a track. So as you can see here in the timeline, one of the component of this video is the visual interpretation of what is shot, and the second is just the audio component. So what I like to do actually is do this method where I begin scrubbing through my footage to see at what point I want what shots I want to keep and which I don't. So what I start doing, for example, is basically scrubbing through this. She's pouring creamer into her coffee and setting it down. You know, I don't really want all this part with the napkins. You know, I just feel like it's too much. So as it sets down, what I'm gonna do, just about here, is I'm gonna press C, which I've said is the shortcut for this blade, a razor tool, and I'm gonna cut here. And I'm also gonna cut right here. After kind of that first flip is all I need. I don't need that much. I don't need the whole thing. So for example, I've cut in 2 places. I've cut this, and I've cut in between here. Now what I do, the footage that I want, I will move it up to the top video layer, video track, and I will move this one, the one I want, to the top as well. So now what I will do is I will also just, for this sake, I'll just create a new sequence from clip. And this sequence right here, I'm gonna put on top or bottom. So we don't actually need this. I will call this final edit. So once I've cut in between the footage that I like, I bring the footage that I want to use in the final edit up top to this track. And I will just go ahead and do the same thing to the rest here. I just want like this. So I'm doing C, I'm dragging here. Don't want too much of this. Actually, not even that much. Okay, and then C. Also, when I'm going back to the mouse, I'm just hitting V on the keyboard. This is good here. So this one, I just want this. I'll bring it up. So because of this, I don't even want this end part at all. I can just drag it. So to trim footage, you just go to the end of a video or the beginning of a video, or clip, I should say, and just begin dragging, toggling this back and forth as much as you want. And you'll see the preview here. So this is where it ends, but I don't want it to end there. I kind of want it right there. And I'm bringing this up because this is what I want to use. And then what I do is I just select all of it by dragging on the left mouse button, and I want to bring it into here. So that's what kind of pancake stacking is. You know, you scrub through the footage that you want, and you cut it, cut in between, drag the footage up into a different timeline. This kind of speeds up the whole scrubbing and looking for good footage to use, especially in this case, it's nothing. But if you have, you know, more than 10 or 20 or even close to an hour of footage, it can be a lot of work. So this kind of just speeds it up. And then here we can just begin editing it. So in this case, I could just put that back here. And this is the final, this is what I'm working with. Now, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna zoom in. And the way I did that is I just hit plus, okay? You hit plus and minus, this minus zooms out, plus zooms in. Now I can just move it here, and I see all my footage, and at the same time you see this time code increasing based on my playhead position. Here, you'll see the time code as pertaining to where the playhead is on the timeline. But here by the project program window, you'll see the full time or duration of the video so far, you know. Now, if you don't want the audio here, which in this case, if you drag this down, you can see there's no volume meters at all on this audio track, meaning there's no audio coming out of these videos, which is expected. But if there was and you don't want to use them, you just mute the track. Similarly, you can go here, and if you want to bring extra audio elements, you just drag and drop your audio into the lower tracks. Okay, these audio tracks are specifically for audio components, and the one above are for visuals. Same for text and graphics, animation, anything like that, that'll go in the video tracks. So just like that. Again, you know, I can just toggle the left and side, right of this and just move about, and that cuts the audio short and everything like that. We will go more in depth in the color correction and tweaking of all these elements in the next video. But for now, I'm just going to show you guys how I could move around in the timeline seamlessly to create a sequence of video storytelling. You know, in this case with coffee, you know, it's going to start with grinding the coffee bean. In this case, it's kind of already been grinded, I guess. So I'm just going to move that, and everything I'm doing, I'm just clicking on and dragging around. You can also move it up and down the tracks because it's in chronological order of like layers. The video on the top is the one that's going to be seen. So if there's something above here, like this, then the one below it will not show. Okay? Now, something at the top would be like text or something like that, you know? Now you see there's no audio track here because I overlapped this one with it, so it kind of took over it. And it's gone now, which is fine because we don't need it. So here, making coffee. This is actually going to be the very end where she drinks the coffee. These are all different people, of course, you know, they're just free footage to use. This is also the second part of grinding the coffee, but into the machine. Just like that, you know, that sequence. And I've purposely, you know, kind of desaturated these videos. They don't look that great right now when it comes to color. We're going to delve into that in the next video and show you guys how to use the Lumetri color panels to really make them pop. So now here is actually pouring the coffee. It's been poured. Theoretically, you would imagine from now till then it's been poured and this person is taking it out. And then they like creamer, put creamer on there. Just a very simple video here. And then at the end, enjoying the coffee. Of course, in this one, without a creamer. So it'll just be like that. Even in here, I would say, well, this is a bit slow, you know? So what if I want this to go a little bit faster? Because it is kind of slow. I want it to go a little bit faster, but then I want it to remain the same speed at the end. What will I do? I can zoom in on here so we could see this line. And I'm going to I'm going to right click, go to show clip keyframes, and do time remapping. This is how you do keyframing, but for speed, how you adjust the speed. You see this bar light right here, it just goes a little bit lower and you don't see the footage because now you can focus on the keyframing for speed. So I want it to kind of slow down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is you're going to Alt. So what you're going to do, you're going to Control and click. And you see this keyframe kind of marker pops up here. Okay, this is the window of how long it'll take to adjust the speed. Okay, So for example, I want the speed to stay the same, but I want this down like that. But I want this to actually be faster. Let's see, it's all up to you, percentage and all that. Let's just work with that. Now you can see this is faster, the way it's dropping here, and then it's slowed down. But I want the duration of it adjusting the speed to be longer, and I want this to be faster. So you just play around with it and you see where it fits best, just like that. You see how fast it is, and then begins to slow down. Just like that. You see it? If you realize you want more, just extend it. It's not like once you've cut the end of this, it's gone. It's still there, And actually, now that I look at it, it might be better to even have that there, like that, and this cut down. So that you can notice it slowing down as he takes his hand off. You know what I mean? So just like that. Now here's another quick trick that you guys can do. Instead of just dragging this around trying to get back here, you can click in this empty gap. You'll see it light up, white, and then you hit delete. Basically, what you're doing is you're deleting this gap here, and all of them can come together like that. So that is what we've done so far. We start here with the grinding of the coffee coming down, slow it down into that. This is already slow, right? So if we don't want this to be slow, we could just speed it up. Again, Control creates a marker or keyframe, and let's say I want it to go from the beginning basically up. But then I want it here somewhere to slow down. That's all it is. It's really helpful and can make something look really nice. Let's just go up here and have this take a little longer. And it'll adjust based on the speed of how long your clip is. No. And that's that. Here's another thing I want to show you guys. Once you've used time remapping, once you're linked to an audio track, the footage, the clip will shorten or extend, but the audio will not. You see it once I move this, it follows with it, it has to kind of adjust to it the same way. So it moves back and forth. The way to fix that, you just do unlink, delete this, just bring it back. And the reason we do that, because if we don't, and you want to just delete this gap, well, you can't, because this is blocking it. There's this audio track too that can't move. But now once we go here and do that, it all moves together. Okay? So now you guys have learned kind of the ins and outs of bringing in footage into the timeline, and how to do some basic editing to it, like trimming and cutting, and this method of pancake stacking, which is just, an editing technique to help you be more efficient and speed up your editing in the first phase of it. So stay tuned for the third video, and don't forget that most of what I'm showing here is also available on lynda.com. You guys can have free access to it using the Poplar Creek Public Library card. They have more in-depth courses and videos on editing in Premiere and many other skills and tools to use, as well as exercise files to really enhance your skills.